Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, IGCSE Biology Help. In today's video, I'm going to be solving the Biology Paper 2. This is the extended paper, May-June 2022, Variant 1 exam. Make sure to subscribe to my channel and like my videos so you can receive more content like this. Let's start solving. Question number 1 says, all living organisms release energy from nutrient molecules within their cells. What is the name of this characteristic? Of course, we know that releasing energy comes from respiration, which is breaking down glucose to form energy. So our answer is going to be C, respiration. Number 2, which diagram shows a flower from a monocotyledon? So we know monocotyledon, it has one seed, and also they have like narrow leaves or petals. They look like this. And also they have pyral veins, and they have petals or like the leaves in multiples of 3, so that means it can be 3, it can be 6, it can be 9. So actually all of this fits the description of D. We can see that it has narrow leaves and it has pyral veins, and it also has 6 leaves or 6 petals, which is a multiple of 3. Number 3, the diagram shows a cross section through the 2 guard cells of a leaf. Which label structures would be also found in an animal cell? So we can see in W, this is actually the nucleus, this dark large circle, which is also found in animal cells, and X shows a cell membrane, which is also found in animal cells. Y shows a chloroplast, which contains chlorophyll, which makes the substance that makes the leaves green, and it's of course not found in animal cells. So our answer is going to be W and X, which is A. Number 4, the diagram shows a cross-section through a leaf. Which label shows a tissue? So we know tissue is a group of cells that they are the same, and it's just a group of cells that are similar. So actually this shows that this is C. Over here we can see that they're all similar, they're all of the same type. So this is going to be our answer. 5. Which statement describes the net movement of particles during diffusion? We know that diffusion moves from higher to lower concentration down a concentration gradient. So this is actually the description of diffusion, which is A. Number 6, the diagram shows a section through a mesophyll cell of a leaf. Which part is partially permeable? Actually, this is B, because we know that B is actually the cell membrane, and cell membrane is partially permeable, while the cell wall, it is fully permeable, which means it will allow anything to enter into the plant or into the cell. So our answer is going to be B. Number 7, what are the smaller basic units of starch and glycogen molecules? We know that starch is made up of glucose, because starch is a storage unit of glucose, and glycogen is made up of glucose as well, because glycogen, the difference between glycogen and starch is found within the plants. It stores glucose, and glycogen is found in our muscles or liver in humans. So our answer is going to be D. Number 8, in a length of DNA, 20% of the bases were T. What is the percentage of base G in the length of DNA? So if we know that A binds with T, and if there is 20% of T, that means there is 20% of A as well, because it is going to bind with A. So that means we have 40%. So 40% is used up by A and T. So this means that we have 60% remaining for both the C and G. So which means that the C is going to be 30%. We're going to be dividing the 60% over 2, because we have 2 bases, and the G is going to be 30%. So that means that we have C 30%, G 30%. The A is going to be 20%, and the T is going to be 20%, which this, if you add all of these numbers, it's going to give you 100%. So our answer is going to be, it's going to be 30%, which is C. Number 9, some terms used to describe enzyme control reactions are listed. 1 says catalyst, 2 says product, 3 protein, 4 substrate. Which terms describe an enzyme? So we know that an enzyme is a catalyst, and it's also a protein. And so our answer is going to be 1 and 3, which is A. Number 10, which statement describes the effect of temperature on enzymes? A says high temperature denatures enzyme, making it difficult for substrate molecules to fit into the active site. This is a correct statement, because when there is a high temperature, it will be denatured, And so the active site, for example, if we have this shape, then it will change into something like this. It will just melt down because there is a high temperature. So our answer is going to be A. 11. Tomato fruit production was measured in 5 different environmental conditions. What is a correct conclusion for the data shown in the graph? So over here we can see that in open field there was the least amount of tomato fruit production, and the highest one was in a heated glass house with an artificial light source and with carbon dioxide gas supplied. So let's read our conclusions. A says there are no limiting factors in one, so tomato fruit production is the lowest. Actually, if there is no limiting factors, then there will be a high fruit production. So A is not correct. B says temperature is the limiting factor in 3. Actually, it is not, because there is a heated glass house which supplies the correct temperature needed for the production. So actually B is incorrect. C says carbon dioxide is the limiting factor in all 5 environmental conditions. Actually, it is not in all 5, because in number 4 and 5 there is carbon dioxide gas supplied in excess, and also in 5. So actually it is just in 1, it is just in 1, 2 and 3, not in 4 and 5. D says light is limiting factor in number 4. This is actually correct, because in number 5 we can see there is a higher production when there is artificial light source supplied, and 4 there is no artificial light, so that means there is a lower production. So our answer is going to be D. 12. How do the air spaces in the spongy mesophyll cell of a leaf help to adapt it for a photosynthesis? A says they act as a store of oxygen. This is incorrect. B says they allow carbon dioxide gas to diffuse through the leaf more rapidly. Actually, this is a correct statement, and this is actually the function of the air spaces in the spongy mesophyll cell. The spongy mesophyll cells have air spaces so that there is enough space for the air to diffuse in the leaf. And if they have like packed cells next to each other, just like the palisade mesophyll cell, there is no enough space for the air to diffuse around, so it's just going to be trapped inside, or it's not going to enter. So our answer is going to be B. 13. What is the dietary importance of fiber in humans? A says for growth and repair of cells. This is actually incorrect. This is for the protein. B says to help food move through the alimentary canal. This is correct. So our answer is going to be B. 14. In which part of the alimentary canal does the ingestion take place? This is actually in the mouth. So our answer is going to be C. 15. A non-woody plant stem is placed in water containing a red dye. It is left for 1 day, and then a section of the stem is examined using a microscope. Which tissue is stained red? Actually, this is going to be the xylem, which is D, and not the phloem. The phloem is not carrying the water, it carries around other substances, just as the glucose. And so this is not going to be our answer. It's going to be D, which is the xylem. And we know that the phloem is B over here, so this is just for your information. 16. The diagram shows a cross-section through a leaf. From which cell will the most water evaporate during transpiration? Actually, this is going to be the spongy mesophyll cell, because it is the nearest to the stomata, which allows the entrance of carbon dioxide and the leaving of oxygen. So our answer is going to be D. 17. The diagram shows the circulatory system of a fish. Where in the circulatory system is the oxygen concentration the lowest? Actually, this is going to be at over here where the heart is pumping to the gills. There is the lowest oxygen concentration, because the gills provide the oxygenated blood to the body. So this is where the oxygen is supplied to the blood. So our answer is going to be X only, because in Y and Z there is higher amount of oxygen because the gills just provided oxygen for the blood. 18. What is the function of the lymphatic system? We know that its function is the circulation of body fluids, so our answer is going to be C. 19. The graph shows the response of the body to vaccination. Which word should be used to replace the letter X to complete the label on the y-axis? So we know in vaccination, we are provided pathogens so that we can get an immune response to that. Our body will become immune, so that if we actually get the pathogen in any form, your body will be already immune to it. So actually our answer is going to be C. 20. Which cells produce mucus? This is actually the goblet cells, so our answer is going to be B. 21. Which row shows that a change that occurs during ventilation? Ventilation is when your body takes out the carbon dioxide from the lungs, so it is actually the process of expiration, not inspiration. So C and D are not going to be one of our answers. A shows that in expiration there is a decrease in the thorax pressure. This is actually incorrect. The thorax pressure actually increases. It does not decrease, and its volume also decreases, and the air movement goes out of the lungs, not in. So our answer is going to be B. 22. What is the balanced chemical equation for anaerobic respiration in yeast? If you took chemistry, then you know that this is actually the process of making ethanol. This is the fermentation process. So actually it is going to be C, because we know that in anaerobic respiration there is alcohol produced, or ethanol, and there is also carbon dioxide. So our answer is going to be C. 23. Which statement correctly explains the difference in glucose concentration in the kidney tubule between X and Y? So A tells us that the glucose concentration is higher at X than Y because glucose moves out of the kidney tubules by osmosis. This is actually incorrect. It does not move out by osmosis. B says that the glucose concentration is higher at X than Y because the glucose has been actively transported out of the kidney tubule. So this is actually the correct statement, because we know that there is active transport, not osmosis. So our answer is going to be B. 24. Where in the eye is the greatest concentration of cells that allow humans to see colors? This is actually in the fovea, which is C. 25. A scientist investigated the effect of drinking iced water on the skin temperature. They drank a large volume of iced water and monitored the temperature of their skin. The results are shown on the graph. Which explanation of the change in skin temperature during the first 10 minutes is correct? So A says that the vasoconstriction occurred, increasing blood flow to the skin. This is actually incorrect. It decreases the blood flow. Actually, when you want to increase the blood flow, there is vasodilation, which did not occur here. There was vasoconstriction. So our answer is going to be B, because this is the correct statement. 26. An experiment was set up to investigate the growth of shoots in different conditions as shown. Which diagram shows the results that would be seen a few days? So in A, we can see that the middle plant over here, it grew, even though it is stated over here that the shoot tip is removed, so it should not grow, it will stay the same. So this is an incorrect answer. Now for B, it shows that the last one, which has a foil cap, we know if there's a foil cap, then the plant will go up like this in a straight way, and the other one over here, this one, will bend towards the direction of the light, which is coming from this direction. So this is actually incorrect, because this one, the last one, should be grown upwards. So over here we can see that in C, the first shoot did not bend towards the light, because we know that the bending occurs when there is oxygen in the shoot tip. It just bends towards the direction of the light. So also there is no growth of the last shoot tip. So this is also incorrect. Now for D, we can see that there is bending towards the direction of the light, which is coming from over here in the right, and the middle shoot, it stayed the same because the shoot tip is removed, and also the last one, which has a foil cap, it growed upwards, which is the correct diagram. So our answer is going to be D. 27. An advisor was presented with a list of statements for a discussion group with potential parents who were considering in vitro fertilization, IVF, to start a family. Which statements about IVF are correct? Number 1 says IVF is available to everyone. This is actually incorrect because it can be expensive for people. Now 2 says IVF is 100% successful and therefore always leads to pregnancy. Also, this is incorrect. There's always a chance of failure and that it will not work. 3 says IVF provides an opportunity for single parents to have a family. This is correct. And number 4 says that IVF is not expensive and everyone can afford it. It is actually incorrect. It is costly and it is very expensive. Some people may not afford it. 5, sperm or egg donation may be involved, which means the couple are not always the biological parents. This is correct. So this is actually number 3 and 5. These are the correct statements, so our answer is going to be D. 28, which sequence of structures does a pollen tube grow through in a flower? A says that there is ovary first and then the ovule, stigma, and style. This is actually incorrect. It should start with the stigma. So it moves from the stigma to the style, ovary, and to the ovule. This is the correct sequence. So our answer is going to be C. 29. The diagram shows some of the events of the menstrual cycle. In which shaded zone of the cycle would progesterone levels be the highest? So this is actually around the end, like around the area where the menstrual cycle is coming up. So this is actually in the shaded area D. 30. What is needed in the cytoplasm to make proteins at a ribosome? This is actually mRNA and amino acids. They are needed to make the proteins at a ribosome. DNA does not move out of the nucleus. It is the mRNA and the amino acids. So our answer is going to be C. 31. Pangolins are mammals. One species of a pangolin has 40 chromosomes per body cell. This is actually the dichromate. How many chromosomes will a sperm cell from the species of pangolin have? So actually it is going to be 20 because you're going to be dividing the 40 over 2 because the sex chromosomes, they have half of the number of chromosomes as we all know. So our answer is going to be B. 32. Which adaptation is shown in the leaves of hydrophytes? A says hairs present on upper and lower surfaces. This is actually not an adaptation of the hydrophytes. B says contains large air spaces. This is a correct statement. We all know that they have large air spaces so that they can prevent the plant from sinking down in the water. So our answer is going to be B. 33. Sickle cell anemia is a genetic disorder which results in severe illness in homozygous individuals. In some human populations, being heterozygous could be beneficial. What could be the reason for this? So actually, A says heterozygous individuals are not affected by the disorder. This is an incorrect statement because the sickle cell anemia is a disorder that is caused by recessive allele, and heterozygous have both homozygous dominant and they have also the allele of the recessive, so they are also affected. B says heterozygous individuals are more resistant to malaria. This is correct because they have the dominant allele, and if they have homozygous recessive, then they will be affected, but they have other genes. So our answer is going to be B. 34. Which statement about selective breeding is correct? We all know that selective breeding is when, for example, if a farmer wants only a specific type of cow, then, for example, if they want a brown cow, then they will only allow the brown cow to reproduce, and the other cows, they will not let them to reproduce, so that leads to only the brown cows to be produced later on in later generations. So A says it does not involve humans. This is incorrect. B says it involves a struggle for survival. This is incorrect because this is not natural selection. C says it involves only one parent. This is actually incorrect because there is other parents, so that, for example, a cow can reproduce. This is not asexual reproduction. D says it involves parents that possess desirable features. This is correct. This is the whole point of selective breeding, So our answer is going to be D. 35. The diagram shows the water cycle. 4 different processes are numbered. Which row identifies the processes correctly? So over here we can see that in number 1 we have precipitation, and in number 2 we have evaporation, and number 3 we have condensation, which is causing the forming of clouds, and number 4 we have transpiration. All of this fits in C because number 1, as I said, is precipitation, so our answer is going to be C. 36. A herd of red deer live in a forest that contains snakes and a large variety of birds. Which group of organisms is an example of a population? So over here we can see that A says all the animals in the forest. This is not a population. B says all red deer in the forest. This is the correct answer because we know population is the amount of a specific species in a place. So, for example, a population may refer to the amount of cats, for example, in a specific area. So, this is the population for a specific species. So, our answer is going to be B. 37. With which kingdoms do bacteria share the same genetic code? A says animal, plant, fungus, and prototist. This is actually the correct answer. We know that bacteria share the same genetic code as all of the stated organisms. So our answer is going to be A. 38. Which process makes use of genetically engineered organism? A says using bacteria to produce insulin. This is correct because we know insulin is involving the removal of the plasmid, and this process is genetically engineering. So our answer is going to be A again. 39. What is a reason for conserving plant species? A says to absorb oxygen from the air. This is actually incorrect. This is not a reason at all to conserve any plant. B says to decrease rainfall. This is again not a very strong reason. C says to obtain drugs for medicinal use. This is correct because a medicine can run out, and some people rely on this medicine to survive, for example, a chronic illness. So some people really need that drug. And D says to release carbon dioxide into the air. This is incorrect because plants don't release carbon dioxide. So our answer is going to be C. 40. The food web shows the feeding relationships in a woodland. If all the specific species in the food web die, which effect would this have? So over here they're talking about this species. If it dies, then let's see what will happen. A says the amount of damage to the trees will increase. So actually, if this one dies, then there will be more caterpillars because its predator has died, and so there will be less amount of caterpillars being eaten. So this will cause more caterpillars to eat on the trees, and there will be more damage done. So our answer is going to be A. This was the last question, and this is the end of our exam. Thank you all for watching. Make sure to subscribe and like my videos so you can receive more content like this. And good luck with your exams.